In the past lecture, we added the ability to add our own custom text to our text field and display it within the label. But the only problem is it brings up the keyboard and now we can't remove it. So what we're going to do now is show you how to dismiss the keyboard. And also with dismissing the keyboard, we can also create an action while performing this action. So we're going to head straight into Xcode now. Okay, so what we need to do is open up our assistant editor, as dismissing the keyboard is very much like creating an action for a button. Now, whereas before we would have clicked and dragged our button over to the action section here, we are going to do the same with our text field. Now, you might not think that the text field could be an action, but you are kind of right. The action lies within the keyboard, and as the keyboard needs the text field to kind of appear, it kind of goes hand in hand. So we drag it over and make sure you select action. And this I'm going to name simply dismiss keyboard. And the event here we need to change to did end on exit. So what this means, the action will perform on the exit of the action, if that makes any sense. Now this time we need to leave the sender within our argument, as the keyboard is kind of like a sub view loading up over the view. We need the sender to push it away. So now that we've got action linked up to our text field here, we're going to bring back our standard editor and then bring up our utilities on the right. Make sure you've selected your UI text field here, and then within the keyboard type at the bottom we have the option here to select what keyboard it displays, whether you want a web search, a Twitter, an email address keyboard, or simply a phone pad or anything like that. But for this moment I'm going to keep it default, and the appearance you can change to light and dark. And now the return key is the main part here which we want. The return key is very much like the done symbol or the search or whatever you would like to display within your keyboard. Now it's at default here, so it just says return on the keyboard, but I'm going to select done. Now once I've done that, I can head over to our viewcontroller.m, and now you can see we've got our new action all implemented out underneath our finish button. And what we're going to simply do here is bracket, we're going to write sender, and then we're going to resign first responder. And then a bracket and end it with a semicolon to close up the line of code. So what this is basically doing is resigning our first responder. Now our first responder is our kind of like our subview that's loaded over the screen. So whatever's loaded, we'll push it away and dismiss it like we're exiting a view. So if I go to build and run now, and we can simply test this out. As you can see, we've created an action for dismissing the keyboard. Now underneath our line of code here, you may think we can add in additional actions to perform at the same time of dismissing the keyboard. And if you are thinking that, you are correct. So after we've tested this out, we'll come to adding an additional action to dismissing the keyboard. So once we bring up the keyboard, we can type out whatever we like, press finish, and then when we're done with the keyboard, we press done, and it dismisses it from the view. Now if I bring it back up, I'm having to press finish and done to exit both actions. Now I can kill two birds with one stone here, and instead of having our finish button, I can implement our finish button within dismissing our keyboard in the done button. So that eliminates the need for an additional button taking up room on our screen. So if I head back into Xcode and see as we got our line of code in our finish button here, if I simply copy and then paste it underneath, and then as you can see there, it's going to perform two actions. It's going to resign our keyboard, and it's going to equal our label text to our text field.text. So it's going to perform two actions at once. So if I go to build and run this, so whereas before if I select my keyboard, my text field, and simply write hello. So whereas before I would have pressed finish to put the text in the label and then done to dismiss the keyboard. If I press done now, it performs two actions at the same time, we now have hello displaying on our label and our keyboard is now dismissed. Which then gives us the question, we no longer need our additional button. So in our interface builder now, we can simply remove the button. We can go to our viewcontroller.h, delete a button there, our viewcontroller.m, and delete the button there, and then go to build and run once more. So basically by combining actions we can relieve any other code or any other buttons doing those other actions to streamline your applications and get rid of code that's not really needed or extra, now we've got rid of that button, there's more room in that interface to add more stuff that may be needed within our app. So again, alright, hello. And then when I'm finished with it, like you do on the keyboard if you're searching or anything like that, which is kind of native to iPhone, press done, and it performs both actions without the need of that additional button. So not only is this a great way to dismiss the keyboard and display text and everything like that in this one lecture, we're also talking about adding multiple actions to an action. So I hope this unlocks your mind to the possibilities of what you can do with iOS development.